My kids were left out of Christmas because, apparently, there wasn't enough space. Yet my brother's children were running wild through the house. I silently gathered our presents and left. The next day, I shared something online and tagged every relative. I learned my kids weren't invited to Christmas through a brief text that didn't even mention them by name. Just a short note from my mom, sent 2 weeks before December 25th. "Hey love, we're keeping it small this year, just close family. Hope that's all right." I stared at the message for a long time, confused by what close family meant when I'm her daughter. I replied asking who would be attending. Hours later, she responded, "Just Ethan and Sarah and their kids. It's simpler that way, you know how packed it gets." Ethan's my brother, 2 years older, the favorite since we were kids. His 3 children are loud but somehow always seen as spirited, never disruptive. My kids, Sophie and Max, are quieter, more reserved, and yet they're always the ones labeled as too much. We've celebrated Christmas at my parents' house every year since Sophie, my eldest, was born. 12 years of crowding into their overly festive living room, watching my dad doze off during Home Alone, eating my mom's dry turkey and acting like it was perfect. But this year, Sophie and Max were excluded because there wasn't space. I didn't reply, I didn't argue, not at first, I just let it sink in. My husband, Ben, suggested maybe they were just stressed that it wasn't personal. But Ben's never felt the sting of my family's hierarchy. He's always welcomed with open arms. He gets warm greetings. I get raised eyebrows when Max hesitates to hug someone or when Sophie skips dessert. I didn't tell the kids. I said we were having a cozy Christmas this year, just us 4. They were upset but didn't push back. They've learned not to question things. Still, I loaded the car on Christmas Eve. Every gift I'd wrapped for my parents, for Ethan, for his kids. I told Ben I wanted to drop them off, just to be civil. He didn't object. We drove over around 4 p.m. Their street was already lined with cars. I had to park a block away. That was my first hint. The second was the front door, wide open despite the cold. I didn't even reach the steps before I saw inside. Every light was glowing, fire roaring, laughter spilling from the living room. Ethan's kids were everywhere. Wrapping paper flying, toys strewn about, music blaring. My mom was snapping photos. My dad was pouring drinks. No space, huh? I turned back, walked to the car, and opened the trunk. Ben stayed quiet. I loaded the gifts back in, all of them. We drove home without a word. I didn't cry. I wasn't even mad. I was beyond that. The next morning, I decided if they didn't have space for us at Christmas, I'd make some space online. And I tagged every adult in the family. On Christmas morning, while everyone else posted family selfies and coordinated pajamas, I shared something different. Something I'd been crafting in my mind since we got home the night before. It wasn't theatrical. It wasn't tearful. I didn't name names. I just wrote, "Strange how some kids get to be the heart of Christmas while others are quietly left out because there's no space. Hope everyone enjoyed the room." We did. Just us and honesty this year. Then I attached a picture. The stack of unopened gifts I'd brought back, all labeled, all wrapped, sitting under our tree untouched. And I tagged every grown-up in my family. It didn't take long. Ethan texted first within 20 minutes. "What's this about?" I didn't respond. Then Sarah sent a string of veiled jabs. "I don't know what you're suggesting, but this feels unfair to your parents. Maybe talk to them instead of airing it online." I let that sit too, but my mom called 3 times in a row. I didn't answer. Then came the voicemail. She asked me to take it down, said it was stirring up pointless drama, said I was making a big deal out of nothing. No apology, not a word about the kids. That's when I posted again, not taking it down. My kids deserve an explanation. They're not too young to feel excluded, and I'm not too old to act like silence is kind. If you want this gone, say something real. To them, not me, you know where we are. After that, my dad called Ben not me Ben. They thought he'd be the reasonable one. Said they didn't want this to tear the family apart, that we should come over and talk. Ben told them we weren't interested in a family meeting where the kids would be treated like an afterthought again. That night, we sat on the floor and finally opened those gifts with Sophie and Max. I didn't say much, I just watched them. I saw how they hesitated after each box, like they were waiting for something more. For the phone to ring, maybe. For someone to say it was all a mistake. But it wasn't, and I wasn't done. Because for the past 6 years, I'd been quietly helping my parents financially, every month. Covering little things, repairs, medications, groceries when they were short. It wasn't a handout. It was love, but love flows both ways. And after this, I wasn't sure they understood that. So I opened one more thing that night, my banking app. I didn't make a scene. No ultimatums, no warnings. I just went into my recurring payments and stopped the automatic transfer to my parents' account. It had been $500 a month for the last 6 years, sometimes more during the holidays. I never asked for anything back. I never even told Ben the full amount until that night. He sat up when I showed him the total. They needed it, he said. And I needed a family who didn't lie to my kids and call it convenience. The next morning, my mom texted again. This time, she asked if we could visit that weekend and talk privately. I replied with one line, only if Sophie and Max get an apology first. She didn't respond. By New Year's, it had started to spread. A few cousins reached out privately, saying they saw the post and wanted to know what happened. Apparently, Ethan and Sarah told everyone I'd overreacted because my kids missed a Christmas that wasn't a big deal. But they were still sharing the photos. The tree, the matching sweaters, the towering dessert spread. Not a big deal, sure. A week later, I got a message from my parents' neighbor. Barely know her, just a kind older woman who once watched Sophie when we were in a pinch. She said she hoped we were okay, that she noticed my kids weren't there this year, and it felt off. That's when I knew my parents weren't just embarrassed, they were exposed. The next transfer was supposed to go out on the 5th. When it didn't, my dad texted me. Just a question mark. That's it. No, how are you? No, we miss the kids, nothing. Just, I wrote back. No more financial help until the people I love most are treated with the same respect you give Ethan's kids. You had a chance to fix it. You still do. This time, he replied, you're being harsh. We don't deserve this. That word hit me. I typed back, harsh is telling your daughter her children aren't welcome and pretending it's about space. Harsh is making them feel like they're not family enough. This is called accountability. I haven't heard from him since, but I did hear from Sarah. That message deserves its own space. It was almost midnight when Sarah messaged me. A long, carefully worded note, clearly revised a few times. She started with a fake show of concern, hoping you and the kids are doing all right. Then she got to it. She said my posts had caused tension in the family, that the kids were starting to ask questions, that she and Ethan didn't like being framed as the cause of the split. She used words like perception and miscommunication, said it would be best for everyone if I took down the posts and moved on. Then came the line that made my blood boil. You've always been so generous with your time and resources, especially financially. I'd hate for bitterness to ruin what we've all built together. Like I was a contractor, not their punching bag. Like the years I spent covering bills for my parents and dropping everything when they needed me were just expected. I didn't reply right away. I read it 4 times. Then I forwarded it to my cousins Mia and Kate and my Aunt Ellen. All 3 had checked on me after the Christmas fallout. Their replies came quickly. That's manipulative. She's not sorry, she's just uneasy. God, Lisa, I'm so sorry. They saw what I saw. When I finally answered Sarah the next day, I kept it short. Sarah, I posted the truth. If it makes people uncomfortable, maybe they should ask why. My kids were left out. You didn't speak up. Neither did Ethan. If you're worried about your image, that's your problem. As for the money, that stopped when the lies started. I owe my kids more than I owe this family's reputation. She didn't respond. 3 days later, my mom texted again. Said she wanted to meet, just us, and leave the past behind. I asked the same thing I'd asked before. Will you apologize to Sophie and Max? Her reply, I don't want to say something wrong and make things worse. There it was. She'd rather say nothing than admit what she did. Not even to 2 kids who just wanted to be part of Christmas. So I told her we were done. No more helping with the electric bill. No more last-minute grocery deliveries when their fridge was empty or my dad's hearing aid needed batteries. Done showing up when the door only opened for one side of the family. And they went silent. Completely silent. Not just ignoring texts. I mean absolute quiet, until last week. That's when a cream-colored envelope arrived. No return address. Inside was a glossy invitation card covered in confetti. One of Ethan and Sarah's kids was turning 11. They were throwing a massive party. a petting zoo, balloon animals, a snow cone machine, all cousins invited. They had included Sophie and Max, like nothing had happened. The envelope arrived on a Monday, no sender listed. Just our last name in swirly script, dripping with sparkles. I knew what it was before I opened it. Sarah always goes all out with party invites. Inside was a folded card with cupcakes and glitter. One of Ethan and Sarah's kids was turning 11. They were hosting a grand celebration, complete with a petting zoo, a clown, ice cream carts, the works, and at the bottom, in silver font, all cousins invited. I set the card on the table and stared at it like it might move. A ploy, maybe, after weeks of silence. After being told there wasn't room for my kids at Christmas. Now they had space for a festival. Ben saw the envelope when he got home. I didn't say anything. He read it, gave a dry chuckle, and asked the obvious. So now they want them there? I nodded. He shook his head and didn't press further. We both knew what this was. A performance, a cover-up. I waited a day, then I made the tough call. I told Sophie and Max about the invite. Sophie looked puzzled immediately. Max just stared. Why not? Sophie asked. I said I didn't know. Max asked softly if Grandma and Grandpa would be there. When I said yes, he looked at the ground. I don't want to go. And that was that. My kids knew it wasn't genuine. They knew what this sudden inclusion was worth. I felt proud and heartbroken all at once. But I wasn't done. I took a picture of the invitation and posted it to my Instagram story. Close friends and family only. The caption was brief and sharp. No space for them at Christmas. But now that there's a clown and an audience, suddenly there's room at the party. Not falling for it. My kids don't need fake affection. Within minutes, the message icon lit up. Sarah. Really? That's all she wrote. Like I was the one in the wrong. Then my dad called. Not me, Ben again. Tried to act casual like he just wanted to chat. Ben handed me the phone. He started with the usual. We didn't mean for things to go this far. It was a misunderstanding. No one meant to hurt anyone. Then he asked if I'd take down the post. Not once did he mention the kids. Not once did he say their names. I repeated what I'd said before. You want it gone? Apologize to Sophie, to Max. Look them in the eye and tell them it was wrong to exclude them. Do that, and I'll delete everything. He went silent. Then he said, that's not going to happen. So I said, then neither is this party. And I hung up. They still think this is about optics. About saving face. They still think I'm the issue. But the narrative they're trying to protect, it's already unraveling. Because the real story, the one they're desperate to bury, isn't just mine anymore. It's Sophie's, it's Max's, and they remember everything. The party happened. We stayed home. Max built a Lego fortress. Sophie finished a book in one sitting. Ben grilled outside despite the chill. We played card games and laughed and tried not to think about what photos were being shared from that party. I knew there'd be some. Sarah can't resist. By the next morning, her Facebook was a gallery. Group shots. Close-ups of the balloon artist. Ethan pretending to ride a unicycle. My parents smiling in every picture, holding Ethan's youngest like he was a treasure. Not a single mention of Sophie or Max. Not even amidst some cousin's caption. Like we were invisible. I scrolled through once. Then I logged out and deleted the app. A few days later, Ben's sister invited us for dinner. Just us. No strings, no hidden motives. Her kids love mine, and there's no pretense there. No tiptoeing. While the kids played, I told her everything, including the money. She listened. Then she asked something that stopped me cold. Why did you keep supporting them for so long? I didn't have an answer. At first, it was just reflex. They were my parents. They needed help. But somewhere along the way, it became a transaction. I wasn't just paying bills. I was paying for a place in the family, and they still left my kids out. A week later, I got a text from my mom. Not an apology. Just one line, we miss the kids. Can we start over? I stared at it for a while. She still wouldn't say the words. Not even close. Just a vague suggestion to move forward without looking back. I typed my reply carefully. You can see them when you acknowledge what you did. No groveling needed. Just tell them you were wrong and they matter. It's been 3 months. She hasn't responded. Ethan and Sarah haven't spoken to me since the post. My parents haven't seen Sophie or Max in person. I thought it might weigh on me more, that I'd feel regret. But I don't. Because the truth is, calm settled into our home the moment we stopped chasing approval from people who thought love came with conditions. And even if they never apologize, they'll feel what it cost them. The photos from that party. They're still up, but everyone who sees them now notices something different. They see who's not there. If this story struck a chord, drop a like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell to catch our next tale. Until next time.